said, and it was a condensed version of a 10-minute segment down to 20 seconds, and said, look, I don't know how good Florida State's going to be 1 through 22, but their quarterback's really good, and he's someone that I can be scared of. And that was back when spring football was going on, and they were putting out watch lists and preseason rankings and all kinds of stuff that goes on in the spring that's just fodder for talking. But Jordan Travis is 6'1". He weighs 212 pounds. And his college career started at Louisville. You remember when LSU played Miami in Arlington? It was Joe Burrow's first game in 2018. Jordan Travis was in college then. He was at Louisville in 2018. He was a member of the Cardinals team in 2018, transferred to Florida State for 19, spent the COVID year 20, had 21, 22, and now he's in his final year of eligibility. Yes, he was in college in 2018. At Louisville, he got into a couple games late, didn't really count as a redshirt year for him. Then he transferred to Florida State in 19. He played 4 games in 2019. I think you all kind of remember where you were in 2019. And then in the COVID year of 2020, Jordan Travis took the reins of the Florida State offense. He started 6 games. He actually set Florida State's single-season quarterback rushing record in that game. You probably know who held that record. It was Charlie Ward, who won the Heisman Trophy. In 2021, he came back, and he was the starting quarterback for 8 games that year. Completed 63% of his throws, 15 touchdowns, 6 picks. And that was a lot of the tape that I was watching entering last year's season opener with LSU. And I haven't gone back and listened to myself, but I remember watching those highlights and whatnot on YouTube. I remember looking at the statistics, and I remember watching the Duquesne game and coming in to studio that week, getting ready for LSU and Florida State in New Orleans, and saying, look, this guy's pretty good, but doesn't run that fast. He's not tall. He doesn't have a huge arm. His statistics are fine. Like, he's a nice quarterback. That's what I thought of Jordan Travis when I walked into Manning's to do the pregame show in the CBD last year and got on the pedicab that rode me all the way to the Superdome to get in for kickoff. And that's what I thought of him when I walked into the Superdome. And in that game, which I rewatched last night, and again, the highlights this morning, just to kind of freshen my memory of it. Some of you have probably done that. A lot of you have probably done that. A lot of you probably haven't. He was 20 of 33 in that game, which is 61%. It felt better than that. And he threw for 260 yards and 2 touchdowns without a pick against LSU. Now, one of the touchdowns he threw was the first touchdown Florida State scored. You may or may not remember it. They ran a reverse flea flicker. They ran the ball right, reversed it, and the guy who was running the reverse tossed it back to Travis. LSU's DBs got sucked up. He threw it over the top. It was a pretty easy throw. I wouldn't say he was creating a Heisman legacy with the throw he makes in the first quarter of that game, but he put the throw where it needed to be. The other throw was on a 3rd down. He threw a fade route, and the kid made a one-handed catch in the end zone. It was a great throw and a great catch. And, oh, by the way, maybe the most flagrant targeting foul in the history of collegiate football by Ali Gay. I had forgotten about that. I remembered it once I saw it. If you had, go back and watch the highlights of LSU Florida State last year. You can cut it off for the end. But catch the targeting foul Ali Gay got on Jordan Travis. What's the word for that? He launched himself, dropped the crown of his helmet right down, and hit Jordan Travis right in the face mask. It was the most flagrant targeting I've ever seen in my life. But Jordan Travis made a great throw on that play. But the statistics were like okay for Jordan Travis in the game. 60% for 260 yards, 2 touchdowns, and no picks. Like a fine game. What you remember about Jordan Travis in that game was that he was lethal on 3rd down. And I went back and looked, and he completed 8 of his 12 throws on 3rd down. 7 of those were for first downs, and 1 of them was for a touchdown. And that was the difference in the game. Florida State only scored 7 points in the first half. It wasn't like they chewed LSU up, and it was on the flea flicker. He was better in the second half. There was a drive in the second half of that game, Florida State had a 17-10 lead, and they went down and scored a touchdown. And on that drive, Jordan Travis made 2 exceptional plays, extending the duration of the play with his legs and then throwing the football down the field. He was evading pass rushers, making guys miss, kept his head downfield, and made a couple of really nice throws. This is who Jordan Travis is. He's not going to ascend into a top 15 draft pick in next year's draft. And he's not going to do many things athletically that just blow your mind. He's just really solid. And he's been really solid since he took over Florida State's offense 3 years ago. Some of the honors and achievements that he's gone through in his career at Florida State. He's played in 35 games. He's one of 4 active college football players who has 5,500 passing yards in his career and 1,700 rushing yards. He's Florida State's career leader in quarterback rushing yards and career leader in quarterback rushing touchdowns. He's 4th all-time in Florida State in career touchdowns accounted for. He's got 70 of those. He's the only quarterback in Florida State history that has had 4 straight games with a passing touchdown and a rushing touchdown. The comp for his game to me in terms of efficiency, and this is, I'm not talking about postseason recognition. I'm not talking about style of play. I'm just talking about a mindset of the opponent as to what you're dealing with Jordan Travis is a little bit Tim Tebow at the end. No, I don't think he's going to run for 25 touchdowns and throw for 30 touchdowns this year and win the Heisman Trophy. Like, he might win the Heisman Trophy. He could, but I don't think in terms of the production. But what I'm saying when I'm talking to you about this is whenever LSU played Tebow, and I was in college, so I was a little different perspective, I just never thought he was going to screw up. I thought he would pick up 3rd and 2. I thought he'd make a quality throw on a slant route. I thought he could extend a play with his legs, even though he wasn't a great sprinter with tremendous speed. And I thought he would run the offense that he was very comfortable in efficiently. Tebow's numbers are going to be better. But Travis is just very efficient, very steady, very composed, and tough to beat. His worst game last year was NC State. And I went back and watched the highlights of that one. He was 15 of 30. He did throw 2 interceptions, and he threw an interception to lose the game. There was one-on-one coverage. He kind of threw up a jump ball. His receiver didn't pick it up. The DB did early, and it hit him right in the breadbasket in the end zone to lose them the game. The touchdown would have won them the game. And he was not good in that game. But this is one of the best quarterbacks in college football that LSU is going to see. In the same way Tim Tebow wasn't, I don't think he's a great NFL prospect. He's just a really, really good college quarterback. And if you made me place wagers on 10 guys to win the Heisman, he would be in it. Because that league's not very good. I think his team's pretty good, and I think he's really good at college football. And that's what we're playing on Sunday. So, again, we'll talk about what the offense looks like. We'll talk about the weapons he's got on the outside. We'll talk about what Mike Norvell's scheme wants to do moving forward. But today, just a refresher on who this guy is. He's exceptionally old. This is 18, 19, 20, 21, 22. This is his 6th year in college football. He's been exceptionally productive in the top 5 of Florida State quarterback rankings in most statistics and tops in some. And played well against LSU last year. It's LSU now this year. He's got to do a better job of getting to him, pressuring him, and trying to force him into something he didn't do last year, which was turn the football over. But that's Jordan Travis, Florida State's quarterback. Just wanted to give a little refresher on the signal caller for the Seminoles. Still got a lot to get to. Glenn West is going to be with us here in 20 minutes to talk about the LSU side of things. Brandon Taylor will do the same thing at 2 o'clock. Sharif Ishak on Saints Cuts at 2:30. We'll get you caught up on the goings-on of the day in Saints world, including some pretty surprising ones. Unfortunately, my wife may have to get a new jersey. Tell you why next.
Hunt Palmer on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Get ready for the NFL season with incredible offers from FanDuel. It's America's #1 sports book. Right now, new customers can bet $5 and get $200 back in bonus bets guaranteed. Plus, all customers who bet $5 will get $100 off NFL Sunday Ticket from YouTube and YouTube TV. Now's the best time to join FanDuel. The app's easy to use, and you can bet on everything from spreads to player props and more. Visit FanDuel.com/1045ESPN and kick off the NFL season with an offer you won't want to miss. FanDuel, official partner of the NFL.
Our listeners fire off their opinions on the jimsfirearms.net hotline at 499-1045. Keep listening for your next chance to shoot us your thoughts with the jimsfirearms.net hotline on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime during this challenging event. And we're right there with you. Our mobile banking app is a smart way to manage your money and time. Gulf Coast Bank and Trust, the bank that cares about you.
Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram has $12,000 off MSRP on new 23 Ram 1500 trucks, all with Bayou's 1 million mile warranty. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
The Windsor Senior Living Community in Mandeville, Louisiana is a beautiful, vibrant apartment community geared toward seniors. They are nestled right in the heart of Mandeville, where seniors live a more carefree lifestyle in spacious apartments with the peace of mind that comes from having a little extra help. Call the Windsor at 985-624-8040 to schedule a lunch and tour. Come see how the Windsor can be your passport to peace of mind.
Bayou Ford has $8,000 off MSRP, plus 1.9% financing on new 23 Ford F-150 XLT trucks, along with Bayou Ford's 1 million mile warranty. The crew at Bayou Ford is going to do right by you.
Officially, it's a fridge full of beer. Unofficially, it's free AC. Coors Light, the official beer of everything unofficial.
When is a taco more than just a taco? When it's Government Taco. Voted best tacos 3 years in a row by 225 Magazine, Government Taco puts the most delicious spin on tacos the capital area has ever seen. With creative combinations like the Magna Carrot, the Filibuster, or the Steak of the Union. Plus perfect tortilla chips paired with the best salsa and queso you've ever had. And happy hour every day from 3 to 6 p.m. and all day on Thursday. Government Taco, 5621 Government Street.
Hey there, little buddy. What's the matter?
What's the matter? My windows, siding, and my door. That's what's the matter.
Relief Windows can fix all of that. I got you. Pop, pop. What's up?
Oh my gosh, look!
Curb appeal. That's a good-looking neighborhood. ReliefWindows.com.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps were held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to Six Rings.
Me, Jimmy Ott, Charles Handegriff. It's Live at Lunch, live from the original walk-ons on Burbank. Got picks, games to break down. This is Live at Lunch, live from walk-ons on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
This is Hunt Palmer on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
It's a busy day for those who cover NFL teams and the NFL as a whole. Heard Charlie give this number out. Math pretty much checks out. About 1,100 players going to be transacted today before 3 o'clock. An hour and 40 minutes-ish until you've got to have your roster cut down to the 53. We understand that those who are placed toward the practice squad Going to have to clear waivers to get there. There's a lot that goes into this day. I'll just hit on the biggest headlines for those of you who are just jumping in the car after lunch or after work and haven't been paying attention to what's going on with the Saints. I'm not going to spend a lot of time talking about Alex Pihlstrom or Chuck Feliga. There's a lot of guys that the Saints have cut today I never heard of. But there are some players that have made waves in the Saints world today that we are familiar with. And one of them is the jersey my wife has. Huge problem. Wife's a big Saints fan. We watch the Saints on Sundays if we get the channel they're on. Shout out Fox and NBC. AT&T Uverse, not available. Get to that another time. Will Lutz, no longer the kicker for the New Orleans Saints. He's headed to Denver. And we thought about this. I actually asked Sharif Ishak this a couple of weeks ago. I said, do you think that the Saints could get something for Will Lutz or Sean Payton if they think that Groupie is the guy? He said, I think Lutz is going to win that job. And Lutz had been good in camp. We heard that he was knocking kicks through in practice, and they got out there in the preseason, and he was perfect. And I thought, yeah, that's going to be the guy that they go with. They're not going to entrust this into a rookie's hands. Well, turns out Saints are going younger and cheaper at kicker. So they're going to get a 7th-round pick from Denver from Sean Payton, and he's going to take his former kicker, Will Lutz. We understand what Sean Payton's relationship with kickers has been over the years. As George Costanza would say, he fires them like it's a bodily function. Said that about George Steinbrenner. It's just part of the Sean Payton MO. He has no patience for kickers. He feels like he can trust Will Lutz, who, coming off of 2 poor seasons that involved injury and some poor performance, looks a little better, a little healthier now. He's going to take him, and the Saints are going to save some cash, go with a young player. So hopefully Groupie is that dude. So that was one surprising move in my eyes for the Saints. The other today that really surprised me when I saw it on Twitter was that the Saints had released Jalen Smith. Remember, they brought him over at linebacker. He played very, very well in the preseason. This is, to me, was very clearly their 3rd linebacker. You've got Demario Davis. You know what kind of player he can be, still playing basically at an all-pro level. You've got Pete Werner, who, when healthy, has been very, very productive for the Saints. Those are your 2 guys on the inside. And you bring in Jalen Smith, and he's kind of your 3rd backer. And they released him. Well, if you read the reports and you kind of read the tea leaves, it sounds like they're going to cut him. They're going to be able to do some things contractually, and they may bring him back as early as this afternoon. I don't expect Jalen Smith to go very far. I don't expect him to sign with another team. That's just what those who cover the team believe to be the case. So those 2 were the most eye-catching headlines from the New Orleans Saints. You got Blake Groupie as your kicker, and you've got Jalen Smith being released, but it sounds like he's going to come back. Bradley Roby is a guy who's not going to be back with the Saints, and there were some concerns with tackling. We understand that, but I thought there was some real value in Bradley Roby as certainly an inside player at the nickel in the slot, and then on special teams, certainly. And that's a guy that they've leaned on a lot. And this is one of those roster spots I thought that was pretty well locked down. I didn't consider the possibility that Roby would move on. And when I was going through all the reasons why I would keep this guy or wouldn't keep that guy, and why I thought Jimmy Graham was an extra tight end, you might be able to grab somebody in the secondary at linebacker, I was thinking about, well, if there's any guys beyond Bradley Roby on the depth chart, potentially Jonathan Abram, who the Saints brought in from free agency, the former Mississippi State Bulldog, who's had a nice go of an NFL career, has some years behind him, but I thought that that's a guy they would keep around. He's been released. Now, the report from Nick Underhill is that the Saints want Jonathan Abram back on the practice squad, but to this point, we'll see. That's something that's gonna have to work out for them. So there are still a lot of decisions to be made. We don't have any word on the tight ends and Jimmy Graham and whatnot. That will come in the next hour and a half, I would say. We don't have as much information as I maybe would want on the linebacker side of things. Mike Triplett is reporting that the Saints have waived offensive lineman Lewis Kidd, who made the 53 last year. I think there's a real chance that he's on the practice squad. So does Mike Triplett. That's a spot where the Saints are kind of making some decisions. So that's an interesting one, and you hope that Kidd sticks around because you need depth on the offensive line for sure. there are injuries there all the time. There's been some poor play there. How much can you count on Andrus Peat? What is James Hurst going to be? Can Trevor Penning hold down the left tackle spot? There's some moving dominoes that we'll have to see moving into the season. But Lewis Kidd was one of those depth pieces that they hope to get back. I think as I continue to go through these, all this stuff's happening in real time, so I'm continuing to go through my notes and kind of check some things off. As Bradley Roby moves out, I don't have to imagine this is the case. The Saints now, their cornerback spots are pretty solidified in terms of the starting rotation. They're going to have Marshawn Lattimore obviously on the outside. I think it's fair to say that Paulson Adebo has won the second corner job, and Alontae Taylor becomes the slot corner where Bradley Roby played a lot. And as I sit there and look at that now, it makes a lot of sense, but I just kind of assumed they would both make the team. That's where my head had been for a while. Certainly they were both on the team last year, and you would imagine that there would be some room there, but it doesn't appear that there is. So as I continue to look through in real time, I want to make sure that I'm getting up to the date. I don't see any other significant breaking news with the Saints, but the good news is on the side of New Orleans is that we'll have Sharif Ishaq just 30 minutes before. There's some breaking news right there that I had missed. Calvin Throckmorton, somebody that I talked about a lot of times on this show, as you looked and you're like, well, Saints have gone out and made some moves on the offensive front. They did draft an offensive lineman, and I'm kind of looking around going, I don't know if Throckmorton's going to make it through. That's been a key depth piece to them, and he's done a pretty good job on the interior, but is he going to be able to make the team when you look at what the depth chart shakes up to at this point? And obviously the answer is no. They're going to move forward on the offensive front without Calvin Throckmorton because you figured that Nick Saldiveri was going to make the team, and he's going to make the team. So Throckmorton, a guy that they've counted on, is going to move on. That looks like up to the date at this moment. It's just tough to – usually when you sit down and do radio, you've kind of got what you want to talk about, and it's all right there. When things are happening at real time, you got to try to catch up and not say something that's dated 6 minutes after it happens. But at this point, I think those are the most noteworthy names. Will Lutz moving on to the Broncos. Jalen Smith cut but should be back. Jonathan Abram cut. They want him back. Calvin Throckmorton cut. They would want him back, you would think. Bradley Roby cut. I don't believe he'll be back with the New Orleans Saints. So it's a crazy day in the NFL. We're all familiar with it from the side of like Hard Knocks, where they kind of bring a couple of guys in, you see 3 or 4 of them. Now that there's only one cut in the NFL, you're looking at taking your roster down from around 90 down to 53 and change. It's a big day. There's 40 guys who were turning in their playbook and looking for a phone call from elsewhere. So we'll continue to keep you updated as things happen today. We'll continue to update as we can, but we'll change gears now, and we'll talk to our guy, Glenn West, who covers LSU for Go 24/7. He's been out there all fall camp long. Been talked to Brian Kelly yesterday, talked to some players yesterday. We'll do so again today, and we'll get his thoughts on the season opener LSU and Florida State coming up on Sunday. So come back with us after this timeout. We will talk we'll talk LSU with Glenn West.
Hunt Palmer on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
One Bath and Closets. OneBathAndClosets.com is that website. Look, it's not an awesome time to move for everybody. Maybe you've locked in a really low interest rates with the way that rates were a couple of years ago, and you just don't feel like you can part ways with that, but you'd like to upgrade some things. You can do that by upgrading your bathroom, upgrading your closet with One Bath and Closets. Our guy, David Duvall, has been in this business for over 30 years, redesigning and remodeling bathrooms and closets. Could be a full-scale redesign. He can handle it all. You don't have to call 4 contractors. You call 1. David Duvall comes in. He handles it from the start to the finish. Full-scale renovation's great. Maybe you just need a tub-to-shower conversion. Take that old bathtub out, put in a new gorgeous glass walk-in shower. You've changed the aesthetic of your bathroom, changed the functionality of it as well. And if you do the bathroom and the closet, 10% off for Hunt Palmer Show listeners, 10% off that combo. So give our guy David Duvall at One Bath and Closets a phone call, or go to the website, onebathandclosets.com. You can see testimonials there. You can see pictures of their fantastic craftsmanship there. And you can also request that free consultation like we tell you each and every day. So go to the website, onebathandclosets.com.
In times of need, get a full list of phone numbers, websites, and other important emergency information on the Demco Stormwatch page at 1045ESPN.com.
When is a taco more than just a taco? When it's Government Taco. Voted best tacos 3 years in a row by 225 Magazine, Government Taco puts the most delicious spin on tacos the capital area has ever seen. With creative combinations like the Magna Carrot, the Filibuster, or the Steak of the Union. Plus perfect tortilla chips paired with the best salsa and queso you've ever had. And happy hour every day from 3 to 6 p.m. and all day on Thursday. Government Taco, 5621 Government Street.
Make this summer your backyard party year with Chris's Specialty Foods. Wings, burgers, brisket, steak, and boudin, plus great Cajun side dishes. We do all the prep, and you enjoy laughing with friends and family. Chris's Specialty Foods, Millerville, New Orleans, Prairieville, and Frisco.
Everybody loves Chris's authentic Cajun meat.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Hey there, little buddy. What's the matter?
What's the matter? My windows, siding, and my door. That's what's the matter.
Relief Windows can fix all that. I got you. Pop, pop. What's up?
Oh my gosh, look!
Curb appeal. That's a good-looking neighborhood. ReliefWindows.com.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps were held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to sixringsbaseball.com or call 988.
Kate Voisin, inviting you to join me, Coach Todd Black, and Coach Jimmy Roy for the next edition of Louisiana Prep Weekly. This week's special guest is Struma head football coach Sid Edwards. Louisiana Prep Weekly, Wednesday nights at 6 on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
You're listening to Hunt Palmer on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Of course, we all know that Hurricane is heading towards the Big Bend of Florida on the western coast of the Panhandle. Tallahassee kind of in line to the left, and then Orlando just a bit off to the right. Did just see this on Twitter from FSU Seminoles, the official Florida State Athletics account. It says Florida State Athletics continues to monitor the potential impact of Hurricane Idalia. I don't even know how to say that. I'm so plugged out on it because it's not headed here. I guess I need to pay a little more attention. Idalia is a Idalia? Either way. At this time, all athletics home events this week will continue as scheduled. Any change in the status of any competitions will be announced as soon as it has been determined. It looks like by Thursday or so, the Hurricane will have moved through. Brian Kelly spoke about it yesterday, as did Mike Norvell. It doesn't appear that anything significant in terms of scheduling will be changed. Florida State School is closed today. as they probably allow folks to go home or go wherever they need to. We're very familiar with that kind of thing. But it doesn't appear that Sunday should be affected significantly, if at all. So let out to the Jim's Firearms Hotline now. Chat with our guy Glenn West of Go 24/7. Glenn, how are you?
I'm just keeping my fingers crossed that my flight doesn't get canceled on Friday, Hunt. But other than that, we're good, and I think there should be football on Sunday, which is always a good thing.
It appears that way. Hopefully everybody stays safe, and we know those things can sneak up and do some damage, but hopefully everything is all right. You met with Brian Kelly yesterday with the media. I'm imagining did some player interviews yesterday as well. What's the vibe around LSU football these days?
Yeah, so we get player interviews today, actually. So haven't talked with any players yet, but Brian Kelly is very confident about this group. I mean, they've given off a very confident, just kind of eager momentum in terms of just wanting to get this season started. And, he talked a lot yesterday about just how much they've prepared, how much better of a spot they're in than this time a year ago when they didn't know even some of the starters who were going to play the significant snaps. I mean, at this time, they were still figuring out what Harold Perkins' best way to get onto the field was last year, and so he didn't play much against Florida State last year. I'm going to be interested to see how that wrinkle is now added into the fold of this matchup this year. So there's just a lot of excitement with Week 1. Everybody's starting from square one at 0-0, and this is about as highly anticipated a Week 1 matchup that you could possibly have, and the fact that they're going to get to be on the biggest stage on a Sunday night is going to be a really cool thing to open the season with. So we're all excited.
You mentioned that Josh Williams a little bit banged up. It's been kind of a revolving door at running back. The depth is fine, so you're not like short on bodies, but just guys have missed some practice time. Now that we're inside game week, you have any indication of to what that room kind of looks like and what a rotation could look like?
Sure. I would imagine that Josh Williams plays. We talked to him last week, and he seemed like he was very energetic about getting to Week 1. I think he's going to be good to go. He was listed as probable for the matchup, but one guy that might not be out there out of that room is Armani Goodwin.
Right.
I think he's listed as doubtful right now, so we'll see if he's able to suit up. But I've kind of always been of the opinion that when they're healthy and when at full strength, kind of the Noah Cain, Logan Diggs, Josh Williams trio, I think would handle a bulk of the carries in terms of running plays. But I do think that guys like Josh Williams, Kavontre Bradford, those could be used kind of in passing down situations. I think both of those guys really showed us a lot this fall that they could be utilized in the passing game. Would like to see them also kind of try to get Logan Diggs involved in that as well. Just didn't see a whole lot of him in the fall while the media was out there. So, but we've heard so much about his versatility. But I do think that Cain, Williams, and Diggs are kind of in line, I think, to get probably the bulk of the looks, at least this first week here against Florida State.
You think they'll be a good running team?
I think so. I think they'll be improved. I don't know if I'd go as far to say that they'll be a good or great running team. I think you still have to see it on the field. I do think that the biggest improvement and just kind of going off of what Coach Kelly said yesterday that makes a ton of sense is that the offensive line with the second year of kind of everybody together, I think should really help the run game, open up more holes for those guys, even if they're not the most explosive players, in terms of just creating big runs on their own. I do think that there will be more holes open for those guys, and that LSU can feel a lot more confident about not leaning so heavily on Jade Daniels and his legs this year. I think they have enough guys to really make this an interesting rushing attack, and we'll see which kind of guys surface to the top.
Do you expect a discernible difference in Jaden Daniels' game on Sunday than you saw last year?
I don't know. I imagine so. They spent all off season working with him on his aggression downfield. That's been something that obviously Jaden has really tried to mentally, I think, retool in his brain a little bit about being more creative with the football, pushing it downfield some. I do think that you could see a few more explosive plays. I don't know how much of the playbook they're going to open up here Week 1 against Florida State. I think you have to have everything on the table for this first matchup, with it being a top 10 duel. But we'll see. I mean, I think that there are certainly weapons here that can help you. Aaron Anderson, Chris Hilton, Malik Neighbors, Brian Thomas Jr. These guys have all shown flashes this fall of being able to make those plays downfield, and even if they're not downfield plays, catching short routes and turning them up for yards after the catch has been something that I know LSU has really tried to explore, creating more ways in which that can happen as well. So it's all going to come down to number 5, and if his willingness to kind of take a few chances. We saw it at times during fall, but there were also some practices out there where they settled for the short and intermediate routes, which was fine. They were moving the ball downfield. I think that's probably point number 1, is that they were pretty consistent in moving the ball. But you got to just wait and see. I mean, I honestly don't know what kind of Jaden Daniels we're going to get on Sunday.
I gave you the over-under on Aaron Anderson touches. That counts punt returns, but you got to return it. Kickoff returns, but you've got to return it. And then whatever he does on offense in the game for 8.5. What would you take?
I would say probably slightly over. I could see him getting the ball 9 or 10 times in this game. I really do think that they're going to try to get the ball in his hands, whether it's out of the backfield, in the screen game. They used him so much in the screen game during the fall. I think that is going to be something that really they need to lean into this season as a way of creating explosive plays. I think just his change of direction is just so elite. And then obviously the kickoffs and the punts, that'll probably, you would think, at least get 5 or 6, 7 touches there between those two. So yeah, I would imagine that they get him the ball quite a bit. See what if he can't make plays with his legs. I mean, that's the really good thing about his game right now, is that he is probably the one guy that I would say can make you miss and can really blow a play open at any time. He's just a really explosive player.
I rewatched the Florida State game from last night, and then saw some highlights again this morning as I was getting ready for a segment on Jordan Travis. But on the other side, I was looking at Jared Verse, and they just simply couldn't block him. It was just a nightmare. Now, that didn't include Emory Jones, who's now out there at right tackle. What's your confidence level in LSU's offensive line to block one of the best pass rushers in college football?
I think it's going to take a team effort. I mean, I think you're looking at a guy in Jared Verse who's very versatile. He's going to be a top 5, top 10 pick next year if things go his way this season. I just, the fact that they're going to have a nice, depth of wealth of players, I think is going to be really important. Not only Emory and Miles Frazier on the right side, but also subbing in to Lance Hurd every once in a while. We'll see if any of those other guys like DJ Chester finds his way into the rotation at some point. Just Bo Bordelon maybe. I mean, there's a lot of options that I think LSU feels confident in with their offensive line. But like you said, they didn't have Emory Jones last year in that game, and I think Emory's probably one of the more improved offensive linemen on this roster, and he was really good last year. And I think he's poised to take another big step. And but it's going to take a team effort. I think that Will Campbell and him are going to be, really big fixtures in the SEC in terms of top offensive linemen. And this is a really good first matchup for those two on the edge.
Chatting with Glenn Westco 24/7, talking Tigers and Noles Sunday night from Orlando. Let's flip it over. LSU's defense. You know that Florida State's got 2 really good wide receivers. You know that they've got a 6th-year quarterback. Where are you as we sit here on this LSU secondary?
I'm cautiously optimistic. I think that's probably the best way to put it. I think that there's, Zay Alexander's a guy that I think I have trust in. He, I think, was probably the most consistent defensive back for you this fall. But, look, they had some injuries that they had to overcome there as well. I mean, Greg Brooks missed a good chunk of fall camp. Major Burns was kind of coming back from injury as well. They've moved Sage Ryan around a little bit this fall as well. That'll be a really interesting, matchup to watch on his when he's out there at outside corner and how much he plays nickel with Greg Brooks at nickel as well. I don't know what to expect out of the defensive backs. I think that's probably the one area of concern that you have to have if you're LSU, because the ideal way to get this game early is to kind of shut down the run, make this more of a passing offense, and those guys in the back half are really going to have to step up for you if that's the case. So I'm going to be very excited to see it. I don't know what to expect, but I do know that LSU has about 5 or 6 guys that they feel really confident in, and those guys have to perform for you at a really good level on Sunday.
Who's LSU's best pass rusher outside of Perkins?
I would say probably Savion Jones. I think he's probably been the most consistent for you. I do think Ovia Gofu is a really interesting name to watch. Braden Swinson as well at that jack linebacker spot. But I've just been super impressed with Savion. He's put on some really good weight this offseason. Looks bigger, stronger, more physical around offensive tackles, and I think he's poised for a really nice season here as kind of a starter for kind of in that Ali Gay defensive end role. So I would say Savion is my pick.
What's your biggest key and what's your pick?
Yeah, so biggest key I think has got to be the offense just kind of continuing what we saw during this fall. I thought that they were very consistent in moving the ball. I think this is going to be a pretty high-scoring game. I have LSU winning this one 33-30. I think it's going to come down to 1 or 2 plays, maybe a last-second Damian Ramos field goal. I know that would be kind of a just way to kind of maybe put last year in the past, right? So. But I do think that LSU comes out on top. I think that they have spent all offseason preparing for this matchup. I think those veterans on this team are hungry for this game. And I just think that the offense is going to be what's going to have to carry you through most of this season. And those guys have to get off to a really good start for LSU to have a good chance with this one.
Safe travels over to Orlando. We'll talk next week, Glenn. Thanks, man.
All right, Hunt. Thank you.
Glenn West, Go 24/7 senior writer with us every single Tuesday. One thing I forgot, and this is kind of bizarre that I forgot it, but I did. I don't even know if I realized it at the time because I was in the Superdome last year and we're way up in the air. I was up in the press box, which is on the roof, and you saw it blocked and you saw that the extra point was no good and the game's over, and then you just get ready to do the post-game show. And it's not like I have a TV or anything in front of me. We're in the press box, so I have all my stats and we got all our equipment and I'm taking notes and whatnot, but I didn't have any video from the game. And I don't know that I spent a lot of time going back and looking at highlights of the game. I forgot that the blocked extra point hit the crossbar. Like, it almost went in. Like, it was a block. In the dome, you could tell right off the foot that it was blocked. Like, that was evident. But I didn't remember that it hit the crossbar. That is brutal. And if you watch the highlight again, and you watch the block and you watch it hits the crossbar, the Florida State fans kind of react to the block, to the deflection, and they all kind of like lock in to see if it's actually going to go in, and then it hits the crossbar and then go in. I had forgotten that. So not great memories, but hopefully some better ones coming up on Sunday. When we come back, really good news for LSU and Florida State. I'll explain.
Hunt Palmer on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
It is storm season. We're talking about that storm that's bearing down over there on the coast of Florida. Nothing headed our way right this second, but storm season always reminds us it's best to have a generator put in. I was talking to a buddy of mine yesterday that got Boudreaux's Electric to come put a Generac generator in at his home. He's now in the clear. Hurricane comes through, afternoon shower comes through, power goes out, his Boudreaux's Generac generator is going to come right on. Boudreaux's is a certified Generac generator, a premier Generac generator dealer, which means they're in the top 3% nationwide. And every generator that is sold by Boudreaux's Electric comes with a free 10-year warranty. A free 10-year warranty. So what are you waiting on? Get that generator customized for your home. Maybe it powers the entire home. Maybe it just keeps you cool and keeps the freezer and fridge going. Either way, you're going to want Boudreaux's Electric to come get you set up with a Generac generator. That phone number is the same one they've had for 40 years. 985-397-1562. That is 985-397-1562. That's Boudreaux's Electric.
Our listeners fire off their opinions on the JimsFirearms.net hotline at 499-1045. Keep listening for your next chance to shoot us your thoughts with the JimsFirearms.net hotline on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
The importance of doing this fortified program and offering it to people down here is, number one, the only real chance you're going to get to do this is when you put on a new roof or build new. And through companies like HUDCO, who's kind of leading the way in this thing, it's going to offer the customers a huge advantage in the insurance market and the price of their insurance.
You know, we're not looking to make a fortune off fortifying. We're trying to give you a better product than our competitor at the moment.
I'm trying to do something that he can. I'm trying to give you something better. So a lot of these insurance jobs, you're getting a re-roof, you're only paying your deductible. Let's sit down and talk about the Fortified and let's see what it does to your insurance premium. You're getting a steal.
Yeah.
You're getting a brand new roof and a Fortified certificate for your deductible, essentially. And I think we're rocking and rolling.
Bayou Ford has $8,000 off MSRP, plus 1.9% financing on new 23 Ford F-150 XLT trucks, along with Bayou Ford's 1 million mile warranty. The crew at Bayou Ford is going to do right by you.
When is a taco more than just a taco? When it's Government Taco. Voted best tacos 3 years in a row by 225 Magazine, Government Taco puts the most delicious spin on tacos the capital area has ever seen. With creative combinations like the Magna Carrot, the Filibuster, or the Steak of the Union. Plus perfect tortilla chips paired with the best salsa and queso you've ever had. And happy hour every day from 3 to 6 p.m. and all day on Thursday. Government Taco, 5621 Government Street.
Scooncha, fall in the air. Fall is right around the corner, which means fall fishing is, which means it's time for you to take your boat to the next level with front-to-back boat service in a bunch of different ways. You want a custom stair job, you can have a ton of fun out there in the water. They can do that. What about a spot lock trolling motor? So you stay right where you need to in casting lines. Or sonar that's let you see the fish under the water before you cast. All of your maintenance needs as well. For 38 years, they've been at it and will continue to do so. The Sherman family of front-to-back boat service.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime during this challenging event. And we're right there with you. Our mobile banking app.
Matt Moscona inviting you to join us for Tuesday's AFR, presented by Sunshine, your John Deere dealer in Louisiana. It's NFL Cut Down Day. Who dat say they going to make this team? We'll have all the latest. Join us 3 to 6, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
This is Hunt Palmer on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Did that tease I gave at the last segment, did it suck you in? Did you have to come see what the good news was for LSU and Florida State? We'll see. If you're still there. Really good news for LSU and Florida State, I would say. Ryder Cup captain's picks are in. Sam Burns, LSU's a pick. Brooks Koepka, Florida State's a pick. I sucked you into golf talk there, didn't I? It's only 4 minutes. But I think it's great for Sam Burns, Shreveport native, LSU Tiger. He will make the Ryder Cup team. Zach Johnson has selected him. This is it'll be his first Ryder Cup. He played well on the President's Cup team last year, and the reason he's on the team is twofold. I think there's a piece of it that he won the WC Dell match play back in March. That's really good. His match play record is very good. His season wasn't great. He T9'd at East Lake, which is good in the Tour Championship. His iron play hasn't been awesome, but sometimes it pays to know someone. And Sam Burns happens to know Scotty Scheffler very well. Sam Burns happens to be one of Scotty Scheffler's best friends. They vacation together. Their wives are good friends. And Scotty Scheffler is the best player on the American team. And he probably wants to play with Sam Burns. Burns has putted very well, number 11 in the world in strokes gained putting. And he's going to be a Ryder Cupper for some time, I think. He's 27 years old. He's a top 25 player in the world. And when Scotty Scheffler says, hey, that's the guy I want to play with, that's gonna carry some weight. So Sam Burns, a Shreveport native. Look, if you're going to try to take on the entire continent of Europe, you really need to have somebody from Shreveport in your team. I've always said that. But Sam Burns does make the team. Ricky Fowler makes the team as well at the age of 34. Had a really, really strong season. Brooks Koepka, the live guy, has made it. Florida State Seminole, 6-5-1 in Ryder Cups. He's 33 years old, number 14 in the world. Of course, he had a really, really good go at the Masters. He was in the last group and didn't quite get it done. Then he won the PGA at Oak Hill. So his performance there put him 7th on the list. And there are some that would say you can't put a live player on there. Don't want these guys to quit on the PGA Tour to play in an event that's put on by the PGA of America. Look, he's one of the best players. They're trying to win the Ryder Cup. Brooks Koepka is going to be on the team. Colin Morikawa, a captain's pick as well, played pretty well early on at Eastlake last week. He was tied 6th, one of the best iron players in the world. Jordan Spieth is going to be on the team for sure. He'll play with Justin Thomas, who was the last pick. It's the most controversial pick there is Justin Thomas because he didn't have a great year, but he's been very good in the Ryder Cup. He's 6-2-1. He's got a partner there in Jordan Spieth, and here's the deal. They're going to put him out there with Spieth on Friday morning in the first matches. If he doesn't play well, then maybe you play him one more time and then in singles, and that's it. But if you catch lightning in a bottle with a guy who's won 2 majors, who's very comfortable with his playing partner, who's a great member of that team room, and who understands the pressure of a Ryder Cup, I think it's a pretty obvious pick. And Zach Johnson said, look, this is one of the best talents in the world. You just don't leave JT at home. So he's not going to leave JT at home. So there's your Ryder Cup talk that I shoehorned in there with the Florida State LSU tees. At the very least, you got to give me a hat tip for camouflaging that segment by go ahead and saying that it's an LSU Florida State segment, which it was. Sam Burns and Brooks Koepka, proud alums, love their schools, and they're on the Ryder Cup team as picks. We'll get back to football in hour number 2. It's going to be a busy hour number 2 here on the Hunt Palmer Show. Saints cuts are still going on. Ellis Merriweather, the most recent cut. The Saints appear to be eager to keep on the practice squad, but we'll see how that goes if he clears waivers. We'll chat about all of that with Sharif Ishak coming up at 2:30. Sharif covers the Saints for WDSU and has been all over it all training camp long. We had an interesting text back and forth, Sharif and I did, during the preseason game back on Sunday night. So we'll get to some of that with Sharif at 2:30. And Brandon Taylor coming up after Sports Center. My guy BT wore number 18 for the Tigers in 2011. He's an SEC champion, former San Diego Chargers player, and of course member of the LSU Sports Radio Network team with myself, BT, and myself, Marlon Favorite. We'll be doing pre and post game starting on Sunday for our 7th year in action on the network. If you missed any of the first hour, you can always catch it on demand. 1045ESPN.com's on demand tab, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google, anywhere you find your audio, you can find us. You can also find your video right here on YouTube. Appreciate those of you hanging in the Bayou Ford chat. If you want to throw us a like, we would certainly appreciate that. Subscription means the world as well. I opened the show with my thoughts on Jordan Travis, Florida State's quarterback. Kind of went back over his entire college career, whenever somebody lists of the accomplishments and the type of player that he is. And I drew a comparison to Tim Tebow, which I think will probably get a lot of pushback because Tim Tebow is one of the most decorated college football players of all time, and Jordan Travis is not. But the way that I feel like I approach the game when they're on the other side feels a little bit similar. We'll see how that carries over on Sunday night. Saints segment at 1:30 talking about Will Lutz, who's moving on to Denver, Jalen Smith, Bradley Roby, Jonathan Abram. All that was at 1:15, and our guy Glenn West from Go 24/7. Join us on the Jim's Firearms Hotline at 1:30. You can catch all of that on demand. Invite you to subscribe to 2 of our YouTube channels, Hunt on LSU and Hunt on Saints. Subscribe to those, all of your football content each and every day on YouTube. Come back with us after Sports Center. My guy Brandon Taylor's next.
Follow us on Twitter at 1045ESPN to cast your vote in the Citizens Bank and Trust Poll of the Day. Vote daily inside Off the Bench, live at lunch, Hunt Palmer. And after further review, Citizens Bank and Trust brings you the Poll of the Day via Twitter at 1045ESPN.
Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram has $12,000 off MSRP on new 23 Ram 1500 trucks, all with Bayou's 1 million mile warranty. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
Oh, hey, what's up? It's Big D and Bubba, 100.7 The Tiger Morning Show. We'd love for you to join us every weekday, 4 a.m. till 9 a.m.
Yeah, everything you want in a show. Country music. We got laughs. We got celebrity in-studio guests. We just need you.
Join us every weekday morning, 4 a.m. to 9 a.m., right where it all started.
That's right. Louisiana's country station, 100.7, The Tiger.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Hey there, little buddy. What's the matter?
What's the matter? My windows, siding, and my door. That's what's the matter.
Relief Windows can fix all that. I got you. Pop, pop. What's up?
Oh my gosh, look!
Curb appeal. That's a good-looking neighborhood. ReliefWindows.com.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps were held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to sixringsbaseball.com or call 985-206-9096. Learn the game to love the game.
When is a taco more than just a taco? When it's Government Taco. Voted best tacos 3 years in a row by 225 Magazine, Government Taco puts the most delicious spin on tacos the capital area has ever seen. With creative combinations like the Magna Carrot, the Filibuster, or the Steak of the Union. Plus perfect tortilla chips paired with the best salsa and queso you've ever had. And happy hour every day from 3 to 6 p.m. and all day on Thursday. Government Taco, 5621 Government Street.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
This is SportsCenter.
I'm Christine Lisi. Breaking NFL news. Nearly 9 months after suffering cardiac arrest during a game, safety Damar Hamlin has made the Bills' 53-man roster. ESPN's Adam Schefter and Jeremy Fowler reporting Bills pass rusher Von Miller will start the season on the PUP list and miss at least the first 4 games of the regular season. Veteran Leonard Floyd, among those Buffalo will rely on in Miller's absence, points out ESPN radio host Chris Canty.
They did add Leonard Floyd as a pass rusher. They're expecting big things from Greg Rousseau and A.J. Epinesa. They do have Shaq Lawson. Those are going to be the guys that are responsible for putting pressure on the opposing quarterbacks. And we got to watch whether or not that group is going to be able to get that done in the wake of not being able to have Von Miller for the first quarter of the year.
Chris Canty on Greeny. Miller is recovering from ACL surgery. Ohio State quarterback Kyle McCoy will start Week 1 against Indiana. Sophomore QB Devin Brown will also play on Saturday. Brooks Koepka, Colin Morikawa, Justin Thomas, Ricky Fowler, Jordan Spieth, Sam Burns, the captain's picks for the U.S. team for next month's Ryder Cup.
Now, Hun Palmer, Hunt Palmer on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Holding down the middle of the day. Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studios. This is Hunt Palmer.
Hour number 2, Tuesday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge, on the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studio. Appreciate you hanging out with us here. Had some fun with Glenn West. In the first hour, we'll have Sharif Ishak on the Saints coming up in 30 minutes. Looking to link up with our guy Brandon Taylor while we attempt to do that. Want to remind you, we'll be out at Pluckers on Nicholson tonight, 8:30, sports trivia. Live action trivia, 5 rounds. You can win gift cards, delicious cold beers, fantastic chicken wings. Always a good time. I'll be very transparent here. If you come out to Pluckers trivia tonight, you will see me in my intensity level on the Cubs game at around an 8 out of 10. Last night, I was watching the Cubs. Well, I was attempting to watch the Cubs. I had the MLB package, and for some reason, my subscription had lapsed or whatever, and so I went to plug in the credit card information right at about first pitch time, and I put in my information, and I hit play, and all of a sudden, we're already losing 4-0. I was in a terrible mood from 7 o'clock until 10 o'clock last night because the Cubs played atrociously, and it made me very sad. Tonight, I'll be watching the Cubs at Pluckers Trivia, so you'll get the added entertainment of, 1, playing sports trivia, and 2, me acting like a maniac watching the Cubs-Brewers game. So if that's something you're interested in, get on by Pluckers tonight, 8:30, Nicholson location. We will have sports trivia. You can win gift cards and have a lot of fun. See if we can catch BT in the next segment, because there's one thing that I want to get to that I saw on The Athletic today. There was a Bruce Feldman story, another one of those lists, and it was the top 30 rising college football assistant coaches. And he went through his list, obviously 1 to 30, and started with Garrett Riley at Clemson. We know that Garrett had an explosive offense at times at TCU last year and has been hired on at Clemson. Look, TCU went from 65th to 9th in the country in scoring last year, and Max Duggan became a Heisman runner-up. That was a really excellent job by Garrett Riley, and I thought he was going to be ticketed for College Station. That's kind of what it felt like. And if that hire is made, I think there's a lot of people who hate the Aggies, myself very much included, who would be a little bit more nervous than Petrino. Now, Petrino 12 years ago in 2011 was dialing him up as good as anybody. And maybe he does it again this year. But Garrett Riley felt like the direction we thought Jimbo would go. We felt like the directive from the brass in College Station was, hey, you need to get younger. You need to spread the field. You need to do the things that the championship teams are doing. Clemson's done it. Ohio State's doing it. LSU did it. Alabama's done it. Like, all the teams that are winning at an elite level have spread the field and gone nuts, and we're not doing that. So you need to. And you thought that Garrett Riley would be next up. Well, he wasn't. We'll see what happens this year at Clemson. Number 2 on the list is Matt House. Number 2, LSU defensive coordinator Matt House. Feldman writes, Brian Kelly's found and employed a lot of excellent coaching candidates, including defensive coordinators Mike Elko, Clark Lee, and Marcus Freeman. The 45-year-old House is next. Got Mason Smith, had a top 10 defense in the country last year, number 3 in red zone touchdown percentage. He says that House is a protege of Steve Spagnuolo from his NFL days with the Rams more than a dozen years ago. He did an excellent job as Mark Stoops' defensive coordinator at Kentucky. In his debut at LSU, he showcased freshman linebacker Harold Perkins by taking what he does best and cutting him loose without putting the young speedster into situations that would bog him down. This fall, the Tigers have a legit national title hopes, and House's defense should be one of the best in the country, with Smith and Perkins ready to take their game to another level, and a batch of new gifted transfers led by Andre Sam. That's the blurb by Bruce Feldman. I don't know if LSU is going to have one of the best defenses in the country this year. They might. They might not. I know this. Whenever LSU had Dave Aranda at defensive coordinator, I felt like, as a fan, sitting there watching, that LSU was going to be prepared and was going to be in good hands. I just felt that way. I thought he would make some adjustments. I thought the defense would be ready to play, and I thought that they'd play well defensively just about every time out. That's the way I felt. Whether that was right or wrong is irrelevant. I'm just telling you the emotions that I felt going into game with Dave Aranda at defensive coordinator. And there's been some ups and downs with LSU defensive coordinators. Bo Pelini was a disaster. Disaster from start to finish. Durante Jones' first game against UCLA was not good. And I thought they got better as the year went on. And certainly they won a couple of games late, but was that a great defense? It was not. But last year, based on some of the things we saw throughout the season, that confidence in Matt House kind of welled up in me, the fan, the observer. I'm talking about shutting out Mississippi State in the second half after they took a lead on you. I'm talking about shutting out Auburn in the second half after they had taken a 10-point lead on you. I'm talking about absolutely throwing the blankets on Ole Miss after they were up, I think, 17-3 in that game in Tiger Stadium. And I thought the defense in the second half was just lights out. And they interviewed Lane Kiffin after that game, and he said, yeah, they put 40 out there, and he's a little different. I mean, that was the quote that Lane Kiffin gave. And that's something that Matt House did. I thought LSU played well against Bryce Young in Alabama. That's a scary offense. Jahmyr Gibbs, Bryce Young, that can be tough. And LSU, I thought, played well defensively. Now, they got gashed by Texas A&M. Who knows if they were just tired on the defensive front from playing a lot of snaps. Wingo and Roy played a lot of snaps. They didn't do a great job of slowing down Georgia. Very few teams did. So it wasn't perfect last year defensively, but I just felt like LSU changed things during the game. I can't point to what the changes were. And if you listen to Peyton Manning and Eli Manning on the Manning cast on Monday Night Football, they say one of the great myths in sports fandom is the halftime adjustments. Feel like you go in at halftime and change your entire game plan. You go in at halftime, you eat an orange, you drink some water, you go pee, and you go back out there and you play the second half. That's what they said. I don't know. I've never been in the locker room at halftime getting ready to play the second half of an SEC game or an NFL game. But just me personally as a fan, I felt like with Matt House out there that LSU was prepared and did some things during the game to improve the output of the defense. Whether those were significant adjustments, whether those were just part of the game plan all along and they were executing better as the game went on, like whatever happened. In second halves of games, LSU played better defense. Certainly they did against Mississippi State, Auburn, and Ole Miss. And I thought they did a pretty good job early against Florida of putting the muzzle on them. So I don't know how long Matt House is going to be here. I certainly hope that he's here for a couple more years. But the odds are that's probably not the case. If LSU has a really good year this year on defense, which of course we all hope that they do, you've got to think that Matt House's number is called at some point. It just makes a lot of sense. That's the way things go. You got Aranda for probably longer than you thought. You maybe had Joe Brady for a little less than you thought. But you're kind of on a 2-3 year cycle with a lot of coordinators. That's just kind of the way that it goes. And if Matt House does well enough this year to go get another job, then awesome. But here's one thing I know. That when LSU takes the field in Orlando, they'll be prepared by Matt House and he'll be coaching them up. And I think that's an exciting portion of this team to me. I have my questions about the pass rush, even though I look at the options and see where it could come. I have my questions about what the secondary looks like and how well they can cover. We'll see. But I trust the guy that's running the defense. And that's a really good feeling. I'm assuming you, the fan, basically feels the same way. I'll check with you guys in the Bayou Ford chat, see if you do. But to me, having Matt House run the defense is a very, very positive thing. And Bruce Feldman believes so as well. He's got him at number 2 in his top 30 assistant coaches. Phil Longo at Washington is number 3. Sharon Moore, the Michigan offensive coordinator, is number 2. Alex Atkins is Florida State's offensive coordinator. He comes in at number 5 on this list. Brian Hartline, who's really ascended the coaching ranks at Ohio State, is at number 7. Florida State's defensive coordinator, Adam Fuller, is number 10. So he's got Florida State's 2 coordinators at 5 and 10 on this list, which is a pretty big hat tip to the staff that Florida State has put together, and just more exemplifies why this game is just so big for so many reasons. For us, it's huge because it's the start of the season. It's 2 teams with championship aspirations. It's the biggest game of the weekend. It's on Sunday night. But also for some of these coaches, like, you think your next jump is imminent. If you've got 3 of the top 10 coordinators in college football on the field, they're thinking that their next move is imminent. Well, it helps if you win games, win championships, raise your profile, elevate things like that. So we shall see. But I trust Matt House to run that defense, and he'll be the one out there on Sunday night. And we take a timeout. We come back. Hopefully, we've got BT. We're going to have Sharif Ishak with us coming up in 30 minutes. Hunt Palmer Show.
You're listening to Hunt Palmer. In times of need, get a full list of phone numbers, websites, and other important emergency information on the Demco Stormwatch page at 1045ESPN.com.
When it comes to ending cancer, we push forward, always working together for you. That's why our cancer experts at Ochsner have clinically integrated with MD Anderson Cancer Center. This means advanced cancer care, including access to life-saving clinical trials and integrating care to treat the whole you. Introducing Ochsner MD Anderson Cancer Center. Long live you.
Scooncha fall in the air. Fall is right around the corner, which means fall fishing is, which means it's time for you to take your boat to the next level with front-to-back boat service in a bunch of different ways. You want a custom stair job, you can have a ton of fun out there on the water. They can do that. What about a spot lock trolling motor? So you stay right where you need to in casting lines. Or sonar that's let you see the fish under the water before you cast. All of your maintenance needs as well. For 38 years, they've been at it and will continue to do so. The Sherman family of front-to-back boat service.
The world's leaders in obesity research, obesity medicine, and obesity science are right here.
We're doing something that no one's ever done or trying to answer a question that no one's ever asked before.
Pennington is a real jewel when it comes to research.
We are finding the solutions to the world's worst chronic disease, which is obesity. Louisiana needs Pennington Biomedical.
When is a taco more than just a taco? When it's Government Taco. Voted best tacos 3 years in a row by 225 Magazine, Government Taco puts the most delicious spin on tacos the capital area has ever seen. With creative combinations like the Magna Carrot, the Filibuster, or the Steak of the Union. Plus perfect tortilla chips paired with the best salsa and queso you've ever had. And happy hour every day from 3 to 6 p.m. and all day on Thursday. Government Taco, 5621 Government Street.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents.
Me, Jimmy Ott, Charles Hannegriff. It's Live at Lunch, live from the original Walk-Ons on Burbank. Got picks, games to break down. This is Live at Lunch, live from Walk-Ons on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
You're listening to Hunt Palmer on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Saints news continues to trickle out. If you were not with us in the first hour, we kind of updated you as things were moving along. Will Lutz has been traded to the Denver Broncos for a 7th-round pick, meaning that Groupie has won the job as a rookie, be the Saints' place kicker this year. Jalen Smith been released. The anticipation is that he will be retained. It's some sort of contract maneuver the Saints are doing that's a little over my head, but the anticipation is that Jalen Smith will be back with the Saints. Bradley Roby has been cut by the Saints. They do not expect him to be back, so Alontae Taylor going to be the slot corner for the Black and Gold. Jonathan Abram has been waived. There's an anticipation that the practice squad could be a spot for him. And then some news that kind of surprised me a little bit trickled out, that the Saints are exploring trade options for Blake Gillikin. Saints punter has been the starter for 2 years, played in all 17 games in both years. He's 25 years old. Essentially, his metrics were about the same last year. He had averaged 46.5 yards a kick after averaging 47.5 yards a kick the year before. Net punting right about 41.5 yards. Like, it's negligible what he did his second year as compared to his first year, but apparently not good enough, because the Saints, it appears, reportedly, have awarded the starting punting job to Lou Hedley. Now, if you're a huge fan of the Black and Gold, you know who Lou Hedley is, and you probably know his story. If you're not, and you just are waiting 2 weeks from now to put the TV on a Sunday, and you'll find out who the Saints punter is then, Lou Hedley is an interesting dude. This guy is 30 years old. He's a rookie. He spent his time from college, the college years through his early 20s as a construction worker. He's from Australia. He was a scaffolder and said, hey, City College of San Francisco has a football program. You want to punt? Well, he played Australian rules football. I'll punt. I can kick a ball pretty far. Well, the University of Miami catches wind of this, and they're like, well, come punt for us. So he did, and he was really good. And he's had impressive performances for the Saints in practice. Talking about a guy with like a lot of neck tats, full sleeve, Australian, former scaffolder. All right, you're our rookie specialist at age 30. Grab a helmet. Let's roll. So it remains to be seen whether or not the Saints can get anything of worth for Gillikin, who did a pretty good job in my eyes, but you're not going to keep two punters. So the Saints had this in mind when they signed Hedley back in May, and now they've got an Australian punter. I'll tell you this. If he's half as good as Brad Wing was for LSU, they're really in some business. But I'll tell you, when I woke up this morning and considering the Saints' cuts, I did not have Will Lutz being shipped out of town and Blake Gillikin being beaten out. That was not on my radar. We've spent all this time with Saint Beats writers. We talk to Sharif every Tuesday. We talk to Luke every Thursday. We've had Kat Terrell on. We talked Saints with Sean Fazan. I haven't thought to really bring up the punting situation at all. I just kind of said, all right, it's probably Gillikin. And the Saints are taking a risk here. No doubt about it. Like, having a rookie as your kicker is a risk. Having a rookie as your punter is a risk. You had two guys who were fairly proven commodities. Now, Lutz is more expensive than Groupie. There's no doubt about it. You can save some cash. But the Gillikin move surprises me because I didn't see necessarily a drop in performance from him. Now, I'm not out there at practice when they're booming punts, and I can't tell you I was locked into the punts in the preseason from either guy. But the Saints have decided, hey, as far as specialists go, we're keeping two rookies. I'm not as concerned about the punting situation. I'm not super concerned about Groupie as a kicker. But you do realize that, like, those are points. Those 42-yarders have got to be makes. And there's not a ton of reason to think that Groupie won't be able to cash in on those. But you won't know until they get out there because it's just not the same as it is in practice. Couple other names. Ellis Merriweather, that we've talked about a lot at the running back spot. thought maybe there's a chance, and then they go and get Darrell Williams. They've got the depth they need. He's been let go. The anticipation is that Ellis Merriweather will make the practice squad if he clears waivers, and that's what you've just got to wait for. You've just got to wait for everything to settle on the outside. But that's basically the biggest news. I mentioned Calvin Throckmorton in the first hour. He's been released. Thought is that if he clears waivers, he'd be back on the practice squad. That's been a fairly valuable guy for the black and gold. Nico Lelos, who had the huge performance in game 2 of the preseason, has been waived by the Saints. We'll see if the practice squad is a spot for him. Inevitably, you kind of run out of spots here. But the fact of the matter is that we are 40 minutes away from the close of business here with having to get down to your 53. We do not have word on any of the tight ends. We do not have as much word as I thought we would have at linebacker. There's some stuff that I didn't expect to see in the secondary with the Saints team, and Throckmorton's kind of one that I did expect to see there. So we'll talk with Sharif about it here coming up. It's like a fast and furious exercise today as cuts continue to fly in. You got the tweets flying in from left and right, and you're trying to keep up so that you don't say something that is dated. And I'm trying to continue to keep up with that on Twitter. Do want to remind you that football season is finally here. You can make your picks now for week 1 in the 2023 1045 ESPN Twin Peaks College Football Pick'em at 1045ESPN.com. Weekly winners are going to receive a Twin Peaks gift card, and the first place season-long champion will get a 75-inch 4K television and soundbar. 75-inch 4K TV and soundbar. It's a 2023 1045 ESPN Twin Peaks College Football Pick'em. Twin Peaks eats, drinks, and scenic views. Unfortunately, I started things off with a loss in my SEC Pick'em with Vanderbilt's. Had them covering. They did not get home. That's disappointing for me personally. We're 0-1, but we can bounce back with a big week this week, and we'll do all those picks coming up on Friday's edition of the show. But the football pick'em is independent of that. If you want to win a 75-inch TV, I would strongly recommend you go to 1045ESPN.com and join that college football pick'em. All right, we'll take a time out a little bit early. We'll go to Sharif Ishak here, kind of get his thoughts on what we've seen today from the black and gold. It's been a little bit surprising from my perspective, but I haven't seen every practice Sharif has, so we'll do that with Sharif Ishak next.
Hunt Palmer on 1045 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Ochsner Health and MD Anderson Cancer Center have partnered to create Ochsner MD Anderson Cancer Center in southeastern Louisiana. This collaboration is awesome. It's going to provide patients in the region with access to cancer treatments that are among the most advanced in the nation. Ochsner is the first and only provider in our state that's got a fully integrated cancer program that's based on MD Anderson's practice standards and treatment plans. They're customized treatment plans. There's direct access to MD Anderson specialists and researchers. And Ochsner MD Anderson Cancer Center are offering groundbreaking research and innovative therapies, including select clinical trials to eligible patients. The best news, 7 locations across our region: New Orleans, St. Tammany Parish, and in Baton Rouge. Ochsner and MD Anderson are going to work together to certify some additional sites moving forward. We all know cancer affects us all. A lot of us have had it. A lot of us have loved ones that have had it. Trying to fight. If you'd like to learn more about Ochsner MD Anderson Cancer Center, go to ochsner.org.
Our listeners fire off their opinions on the jimsfirearms.net hotline at 499-1045. Keep listening for your next chance to shoot us your thoughts with the jimsfirearms.net hotline on 1045 ESPN Baton Rouge.
The best kept secret in town is out. Discover Tallulah at the Renaissance Hotel on Bluebonnet.
Hey there, little buddy. What's the matter?
What's the matter? My windows, siding, and my door. That's what's the matter.
Relief Windows can fix all that. I got you. Pop, pop. What's up?
Oh my gosh, look!
Curb appeal. That's a good-looking neighborhood. ReliefWindows.com.
Follow us on Twitter at 1045ESPN to cast your vote in the Citizens Bank and Trust Poll of the Day. Vote daily inside Off the Bench, live at lunch on Palmer. And after further review, Citizens Bank and Trust brings you the Poll of the Day via Twitter at 1045ESPN.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps were held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to sixringsbaseball.com or call 985-206-9096. Learn the game to love the game.
When is a taco more than just a taco? When it's Government Taco. Voted best tacos 3 years in a row by 225 Magazine, Government Taco puts the most delicious spin on tacos the capital area has ever seen. With creative combinations like the Magna Carrot, the Filibuster, or the Steak of the Union. Plus perfect tortilla chips paired with the best salsa and queso you've ever had. And happy hour every day from 3 to 6 p.m. and all day on Thursday. Government Taco, 5621 Government Street.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention.
It's Kate Voisin, inviting you to join me, Coach Todd Black and Coach Jimmy Roy for the next edition of Louisiana Prep Weekly. This week's special guest is Struma head football coach Sid Edwards. Louisiana Prep Weekly, Wednesday nights at 6 on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
This is Hunt Palmer on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Moves are coming fast and furious in NFL world. It's been a wild couple of hours. Most recent news from the Saints: Shaq Davis been waived by the Saints, as well as linebacker Anthony Orji, who we thought early on may be a guy to look at as a player that could steal a roster spot. Again, practice squad is still an option for a lot of players. We'll just have to see how things shake out. To help it shake out, go to the phone lines, Jim's Firearms Hotline to be exact, and we'll chat with our guy, Sharif Ishak from WDSU. Sharif, how are you?
Good, man. Good, man. Crazy day, but it is what it is. It happens every year.
Most surprising news of the day thus far has been?
Well, I know people want it to be the special teams, but to be honest with you, it'd be a little more surprising if both guys were better last season. You know, they weren't so consistent last year, and that's kind of what the big reason is why they went away from Will Lutz and Blake Gillikin and went with Blake Grupe and Lou Hedley. You know, 2 rookies to kick and punt. Not really a surprise. I know that it's you know, for radio reasons you want to say it's a shocker and a surprise, but if you watched last year, you could see maybe, like, you know, in some of this preseason, you could see it coming.
Do you think that the 2 incumbent guys, that Lutz and Gillikin, saw it coming?
You know, it's funny that you asked that question, because in the locker room Sunday, while talking to Will Lutz, he looked a little emotional on his face. Maybe he thought that it was, you know, a good chance. It's not like he's out of the league. I mean, he's going to his former coach in Denver where he could kick 65, 70-yard field goals. But I think maybe he kind of had a sense that maybe Grupe had maybe surpassed him and became the kicker. And you got to look at it this way, Hunt. It's a business for sure. He has 1 year left on his contract, and you get a rookie for 3 to 4 years. You're going to have to find a kicker more than likely after next season. Kept Lutz. I think they played it long game. Now they hope it works out.
Yeah, there's no doubt about it. It's still an interesting thing to me. So, what's your confidence level in Groupie after watching him in practice and in preseason games?
Hey, look, man, he went 51 of 55 in practices, 5 of 6 in the preseason games. His only miss was wide right from 60, and it could have gone in from 65 to 67 yards. He has a leg, and it's crazy to see that. A guy who's literally my size and height booming 60-plus yard kicks like that. He's been booming them in practice, and he's been pretty good from long distance. Now it all matters if you can do it in the game in the real pressure cooker. Preseason, it feels like, hey, you're not really in that pressure cooker. You're just kicking because it's preseason, and I understand he's fighting for a job. But man, he just made it seem so easy at times during some of these practices and during these preseason games. You're like, man, he just goes up there with confidence and booms them, not left or right when he makes them. It pretty much goes right down the middle each time, which is something good. I like it. Will Lutz is a good guy. Was good with the media. Talks no matter what after games, bad games, good games. But I think the Saints just saw, look, probably time to move on. We need someone who can be the future after this year as well. And we'll see if it pays off. Now, if things get shaky with the punting game and the kicking game, people are going to be out for the coaches. But look, Darren Rizzi's a good special teams coach. I think they know what they're doing.
How surprised are you to see Jalen Smith's name come up in the release list?
That doesn't surprise me at all because I think they can bring him back. That's probably one of the guys that they release and can come back with him later this week or next week, maybe even today or tomorrow. Release and waive, you have to read up on it. Much different. When you release, you're a free agent. Waive, it's just different. You can go, teams have to claim you. So he's a free agent. I wouldn't be surprised, if it happens this week, if he comes back to the Saints. I think he really liked it here in New Orleans, and I think they like him.
Was there another name that came up that surprised you? I think Calvin Throckmorton was a guy that I thought was kind of fighting for his job. He's been a nice depth piece the last couple of years, but is he kind of ticketed for the practice squad, you think?
Yeah, I think maybe practice squad. Another name, Bradley Roby, considering the depth there at second and the slot. But it just goes to show you that, they're confident in not only Alontae Taylor, but Ugo Amadi, who's, really had a solid camp in preseason games. He can not only play safety, he can play in the slot. And they're just looking at it, hey, I know Bradley Roby wasn't happy about it, tweeting, if you're playing the cost game, essentially it's going to cost you. But the Saints play that game. But they also play it with, hey, which guy is going to fit our defense really well? And, Dennis Allen has done a good job when it comes to evaluating the secondary in his time. So, you have to trust him. The secondary played well last year, especially towards the end of the season. If he thinks Ugo Amadi and Alontae Taylor can fill in, at slot, then they'll be fine. He's going to start at slot, Alontae Taylor, and that's where he's going to play. But, I think, it's not the final roster, Hunt. It is. It's the final roster. It's the first of many moves that are going to be made once this, 53 is settled today. They're going to make much more moves. It's not over. Don't be surprised if they add some depth there at the cornerback position, at slot, maybe at linebacker. They're not done. It's just, it's the beginning of the 53.
You texted me on Sunday night after a couple of big catches by Jimmy Graham. Your thoughts?
Can't teach 6'6", man. I keep telling you that every week. Can't teach 6'6". He'll box you out. I don't know how many guys who can really, unless you're really going to put a linebacker on him and a good to go up with him. But it was nice to see that, man. Not many people were in the stadium, but the roar was nice whenever he went up to get the 25-yard catch over Christian Harris, Baton Rouge guy, and the next, couple plays later, he gets the touchdown, boxing out in the end zone. It's nice to see. It's nice. And I think that's what you're going to see from him this season. That's the type of role they're going to be asking of him. Go up and get the one-on-one jump balls and go out and box guys in the end zone. And it was just good to see. And Dennis Allen said it in the last couple of weeks of training camp is when you really started to see Jimmy kind of come along.
I don't mean at all to compare Foster Moreau to Jimmy Graham in 2013, but I do want to compare Foster Moreau to Jimmy Graham today. Foster Moreau can't make some of those catches that Jimmy is making as a big body frame tight end. Like that's a role you need Jimmy Graham to fill.
Absolutely. Okay. Yes. I think Foster does a lot of good things well. Jimmy Graham does one big thing great, and that's the big thing he does. You need that type of tight end. Juwan Johnson, you line him up anywhere. He can do it too, but you need that one big play from that one big guy, and that's Jimmy Graham. That's what he does best. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. That's what he does best, does it better than any tight end they have on that roster. And that's, Foster does a lot of small things good, and Jimmy Graham does one big thing great, and that's it right there.
How do you feel like Dennis Allen has handled this training camp and preseason? They're getting into actual camp and getting ready to play a game here in the next couple of days in terms of practicing. But what about the way that they've handled playing time, roster stuff, practices, all that kind of stuff?
I think they've handled it very well. And, the one thing I bark about every time on your show is health. For the most part, if they weren't healthy during practice, they'd sit them out. Marshawn Lattimore is the only guy you kind of have to be worried about right now. And Traquan Smith, who knows what they do with him? They keep him and then place him on IR, missing the first 4 games. But if Marshawn is the only concern, and it's not a serious concern, and he's back by the first game, which he should be, then he handled that part really well. And he handled the rotations really well in terms of guys getting a lot of, the playing time. Like in this game against the Houston Texans, we saw Brian Brzee and Isaiah Foskey flash really well. They continued to progress in each and every game, and you saw that. That was the most important thing about Sunday's game, is seeing that defensive line, those two guys, really go at it and go after, the Houston Texans offensive line and getting there in the backfield a few times. And that's the type of things that, I'm sure Dennis Allen and company were looking forward to seeing, and seeing some of the guys that they could possibly place on this practice squad, like a Shaq Davis, somebody like that, whether if it's Nephi Sewell at linebacker, and it's just rounding out your 53-man roster and your players on the practice squad. That's exactly what they did, and they did a good job of rotating players, whether it's in practice and games. And that was a nice sight to see. It was really done well this preseason.
Did the game that he played against reserves on Sunday night change the way you feel about Isaiah Foskey at all?
Look, he's it's work in progress.
Yeah.
That's just a perfect way to put it. I know it shouldn't be the case with a second-round pick. You would think that he could be a little bit further along, but adding size, he's got to get more reps. And there's going to be some times, I think people are not going to like this when he's a healthy scratch. And it's not a good look, I understand, but he's a work in progress. But steps in the right direction have been made, especially in the last 10 days or so for him.
What do you think about Jake Haener?
That wasn't a good game.
No, it wasn't.
He had that rookie quarterback game. He was slinging it to Lucas Kroll quite a bit, 15 times, caught 7 passes. Seemed like those two guys were linked up a lot. They were connecting. Just saw him. Just like he had tunnel vision for 87 for most of the game. He dropped a couple passes. Some of them were on Jake, and some of them were on Lucas Kroll. But he had that rookie game. He floated some passes, he threw some passes one along the sideline. He should have thrown one down the middle of the seam that could have gotten picked off. The 2 passes that got picked off. One was a good play. To end the game.
Yeah.
And then one in the end zone, he threw up you don't throw that ball into triple coverage. There was 3 guys back there.
All right, you got a pick on LSU Florida State?
Oh, dude, come on. I'm going LSU.
I didn't know that.
All the way.
You could go Florida State.
Well, I'm a Florida. Look, I was going to go to Florida State, and I changed my mind and went to LSU. I like both schools. Last year, I thought LSU would win, and they didn't win because, it was a brand-new team. Feel better about it this time. I do think like a 4-point game. I'll go with a 4-point win for LSU.
We will take that. We'll talk to you next week, Sharif. Thanks, man.
All right, Hunt.
He is Sharif Ishak, WDSU, with all your black and gold information. Look, you can make a lot of sense out of every move that the Saints have made, and they're not done making moves today. And Matt will have the luxury 25, 30 minutes into his show today to kind of put the whole thing together. We've been sitting here since 1 o'clock, and just things trickle out. And so you react to them as they come. The Will Lutz news happened just before we went on the air. The Blake Gillikin losing the punting job happened while we were on the air. Ellis Merriweather happened when we were on the air. Jalen Smith news happened when we were on the air. And you're just kind of reacting to things as they come. And you don't have finality to any of this, because when you're talking about guys that are released, they could sign back in a matter of hours, depending on how things progress. So no guarantees. If there's one front office in the NFL that I would say is doing some things that I may not understand surface level, it's probably the Saints, because they can cook books and manipulate things and figure things out that I'm not versed in on their face. But when I saw the Jalen Smith news, I was like, what? That's their third linebacker. But sounds like he's going to be back. When I saw that Lutz had been moved, it surprised me because this was something that we talked about 2 weeks ago and then kind of ditched because Lutz had not missed a kick and had been rock solid. But hey, we're going to go with Blake Grupe and push off the dock with a couple of freshman specialists, which Sharif says isn't big news. He'd rather hear about guys in the secondary and linebacker. So all the news continue to trickle out. The deadline for the NFL to get your roster down to 53 coming up in 18 minutes from right now. So Matt will have you all covered there on After Further Review. We will take one more time out. We will come back, and we will wrap up a Tuesday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show.
Hunt Palmer on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
LWCC is Louisiana loyal. They're not cutting anybody. They're elevating and celebrating the champions of Louisiana over at LWCC. And we've been telling you about Corey Barr all summer long. Corey is a Monroe kid, born and raised, got into the culinary world and ascended to national prominence. Food Network star, beat Bobby Flay. Could have taken those talents anywhere. South Beach, could have taken them to California, New York. No, we're going back to Monroe because Louisiana is important and Louisiana is home. That's why he operates his three businesses right out of Fun Row in the 318. Corey Barr, certainly a champion of Louisiana. If you know of a champion of Louisiana, we want to tell their story. LWCC gives us that platform with their Champions of Louisiana program. So go to lwcc.com/champions. You can check out all the champions we've talked about over a year and a half and nominate a champion of Louisiana. It could be a nonprofit, could be a business, could be a person like Corey Barr, and we'll tell their story right here. Corey Barr is a champion of Louisiana. LWCC is Louisiana loyal.
In times of need, get a full list of phone numbers, websites, and other important emergency information on the Demco Stormwatch page at 1045ESPN.com.
It was a humid day, barefoot children play, looking for that summer shade. Time just slips away. Oh, Louisiana, some kind of hold on me. Like cypress stumps, your roots are planted deep inside of me.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Hey there, little buddy. What's the matter?
What's the matter? My windows, siding, and my door. That's what's the matter.
Relief Windows can fix all that. I got you.
What's up?
Oh my gosh, look!
Curb appeal. That's a good-looking neighborhood. ReliefWindows.com.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps were held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to sixringsbaseball.com or call 985-206-9096. Learn the game to love the game.
When is a taco more than just a taco? When it's Government Taco. Voted best tacos 3 years in a row by 225 Magazine, Government Taco puts the most delicious spin on tacos the capital area has ever seen. With creative combinations like the Magna Carrot, the Filibuster, or the Steak of the Union. Plus perfect tortilla chips paired with the best salsa and queso you've ever had. And happy hour every day from 3 to 6 p.m.
Moscona inviting you to join us for Tuesday's AFR, presented by Sunshine, your John Deere dealer in Louisiana. It's NFL Cut Down Day. Who dat say they going to make this team? We'll have all the latest. Join us 3 to 6, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
You're listening to Hunt Palmer on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
All right, closing up shop, Tuesday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show. Let's play some Take It or Leave It, Jacob Beck.
All right, first one here. There was a shooting at Guaranteed Rate Field last Friday, which is the home of the White Sox, for those who don't know, involving 2 women. That was apparently an accidental discharge by one of them. She reportedly snuck the gun in past metal detectors, hiding it in the folds of her belly fat. This could only happen at a White Sox game. Take it or leave it.
I'll take it. White Sox games, not the place to be. Got a historic, lovely facility, wonderful neighborhood, Wrigleyville, incredible experience, Guaranteed Rate Field. You don't need to be there. And my question is, if this woman snuck a gun into the White Sox game in her belly fat, like, what else has she put in there to sneak in places? Like, do you need a carry-on for the airport if you can just stick stuff in your belly fat? Now, I don't need my phone. I'll just put it right there.
Yeah.
Got the headphones stuck right here over there. Got some, maybe some crackers that we put right in there. You don't want those to get smushed or anything, so maybe we should go with like a candy bar or something a little more resilient against the belly fat. But if this chick is putting a gun in her belly fat and getting through. By the way, can the metal detectors not get through fat? Have we determined what the issue is? That's a bit of a problem. We need to be able to. We can get through bags and suitcases. We can't get through belly fat. That's a bit of an issue and could cause some real problems in TSA lines at some point. But yeah, this is despicable. Just a total disaster of American culture that we've got people sneaking guns in their belly fat and then shooting themselves at White Sox games. Just awful.
All right, moving on. The Cubs will cause you to break something at Pluckers tonight. Take it or leave it.
They were close last night.
Justin Steele's on the mound.
I know, but the Brewers have is Burns tonight?
Yes.
Just They got to win tonight. I can't. If they don't win tonight, I'm going to be just so upset. It's that time of year. Y'all are all dialed in on football, and I am too. I'm excited to talk football. We talked a lot of football today. We're getting into all the SEC West teams tomorrow. Like, I'm locked in on football, but I got to keep focus on the Cubs as well because it's crunch time. We're getting to September, and they're slipping. They're 5 games back of the Brewers. You lose tonight, maybe get swept on your home field. You go 7 games back. Like, it's over for the division. So I'm going to leave it. They're not going to cause me to break anything. I should be able to compose myself like a reasonable human, but I can't promise my mood's going to be exceptional, especially if they start playing poorly again. Swing the bats.
Nick Saban and Lane Kiffin have refused to name their starting quarterbacks for the season opener. That's Bush League. Take it or leave it.
I'll leave it. Here's the deal. I don't think that Nick Saban and Lane Kiffin are holding their starting quarterback information because they're trying to keep it secret from the other team. Like when Jay Johnson does not announce a starting pitcher, he is doing that so the other team can't scout his starting pitching to the extent they may be able to if he were to announce one. They're doing it for the quarterbacks on their team. They want the quarterbacks on their team engaged and focused and preparing like they're going to be the starting quarterback. And he thinks if they name a starting quarterback, if they name a starting quarterback 10 days out, that one guy might check out or transfer or just won't be as committed as he needs to be. Whether or not you like that or not, I don't think that the fan base and the media have a birthright to know who the starting quarterback is. And they don't have a birthright to know who the left guard is or the strong safety is or the punter. Like, just go watch the game. Like, how does that change? You'll know when they start. It's not like going to be a secret long. So I'm fine with it. if you want to put a full depth chart out, I'm fine with that too. But I'm just not going to get all bent out of shape because coaches aren't naming a quarterback. I think they'll be fine.
All right, last one here. Arik Gilbert was arrested for shoplifting in Lincoln. He recently transferred to Nebraska.
Yeah.
He's out of options. Take it or leave it.
I'll leave that. He's not out of options, but he's about out of Power 5 options. I mean, it's a sad story what's going on. We understand there's some mental health issues. We understand it did not work out at LSU. It did not work out at Florida. It did not work out at Georgia. It has hit a pretty significant bump here in Nebraska. And mental health issues and trying to better yourself emotionally and mentally is one thing. Going in and stealing stuff is a totally different thing. So this is a young man with just an unbelievable gift in terms of his physical abilities, and he's just had issue after issue. I mean, that was 2020 when he came here. We're not that long ago. I mean, we were talking about Jordan Travis earlier today, and he started his college football career in 2018. Gilbert's only in year 4 here, which is a normal go in college. He just hasn't been able to figure it out. And at this point, I think suggesting that you feel like he is going to figure it out would be really optimistic and really ambitious. I hope so. But it just does not appear to be super optimistic there in Lincoln. So that's it for Take It or Leave It. I'm looking up at the TV there, and ESPN's on. Yeah, it's just a regular ESPN's there on. And John Isner is playing. And speaking of Georgia, John Isner playing in what could be his final match, the U.S. Open. He's going to retire after this year. When did he play that match against Nicholas Mahut? It literally went on.
2015, I think.
It went on for 2 days.
Yeah.
That they played in. It was 11 hours of on-court time that took place over 2 days. It was 70-68 in the 5th set, and that was in 2010.
Oh, 10,
it was
wow.
13 years ago that John Isner played in that match. And if you don't care about tennis, I totally get it. But Isner's like 6'10", and you just can't return a serve. But he can't do any of the other stuff in tennis that requires you to break serve. So you can't break his serve, and he can't really break your serve, and that's how you get 70-68 in the 5th set in an 11-hour and 5-minute match. We talk about 5-hour marathons. This one was double that and some. But Isner, a Georgia Bulldog, playing his final match, playing his final U.S. Open, his last tournament. But he's playing against someone from Argentina at the moment up there. So we'll see if John Isner's professional career does continue. Our show will continue the rest of the week, and very much looking forward to it. We'll have J.D. Piquel on tomorrow, as we always do, from On3 Sports to kind of preview the weekend. I'm going to give you my season thoughts on all the teams in the SEC West tomorrow, maybe the East as well. As we get into Thursday, we'll have a little bit more to talk about. So maybe do both of them, and then we'll get really heavy into LSU and Florida State on Thursday and, of course, on Friday. If you're looking for your plans on Sunday for the LSU football game, as far as Guarantee Media goes, it'll be Charles Handegriff and Matt Musso from Rouse's on Eagle 98.1 Game Day. They will be coming to you at 1:30 from Rouse's, 5 hours to kickoff. My crew is going to take over at 4:30 on the LSU Sports Radio Network. That'll be Brandon Taylor, Marlon Favorite, and myself. We'll be with you for 90 minutes before we hand it off to the broadcast team at 6 o'clock over in Orlando. 30 minutes after it goes final, we'll be on the LSU Sports Radio Network over on Eagle 98.1, giving you about an hour of post-game coverage. And 90 minutes after the game goes final, Eagle 98.1 Game Day with Charles Handegriff and Richard Dixon will be coming at you for a couple of hours. So locked and loaded for about 11 hours of coverage on the LSU Sports Radio Network and here at Guarantee over on Eagle 98.1. So very much looking forward to that. As I mentioned earlier, Pluckers Trivia tonight, 8:30. We'll be doing live action trivia. You can win gift cards, drink some delicious beer, eat some awesome chicken wings. So come on out and see us tonight at 8:30. If you missed any of today's show, you can always catch it on demand, 1045ESPN.com's on-demand tab, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and Google. Anywhere you find your audio, you can find us. I gave my thoughts on Jordan Travis at 1 o'clock. Some Saints thoughts at 1:15 as the transactions continue to churn. Glenn West of Go 24/7 with us at 1:30, and we did a little Matt House conversation at 2 o'clock, and Sharif Ishaq was with us at 2:30 talking Saints. So you can catch all of that on demand. The 2 YouTube channels we'd love you to subscribe to, Hunt on LSU and Hunt on Saints. Get all your LSU football content, all your Saints content right to your fingertips on your YouTube homepage. Hope to see you at Pluckers tonight. If not, same time, same place tomorrow.